If you've ever showed up in my stream before, you've probably heard me mention the topic of mentality once or twice. In my opinion, what separates a decent speedrunner from a truly great one is having a good winning mentality. And I would add on to that by saying that speedrunning relies 90% on your mental ability and 10% on your technical ability, but at this point I'm just slinging around random numbers. Oddly enough, I rarely see other runners talk about this topic or improve their mental game. Today, I want to do just that. I want to talk about this topic of mentality, where bad speedrunning mentality usually comes from, and offer some advice to improve your mentality. So, since I've been spewing the word non-stop for the past minute or so, what exactly is mentality? Well, if you look it up on Google, mentality is defined as the characteristic attitude of mind or way of thinking of a person or group. I think the important phrase to focus on here is way of thinking. Mentality is a way of thinking. It's like a belief system, what you believe to be true. Well, that's all good and dandy, but what in the world does mentality have to do with speedrunning? Remember what it was like getting into speedrunning for the first time? Remember watching AGDQ and SGDQ and maybe stumbling upon a runner playing a childhood game of yours and playing it in a way you never saw before? Then suddenly you started wanting to do it for yourself. You dust off your old console and game, you pick up some notes, you start learning the route and tricks for the game. Maybe you pick up a capture card, stream to Twitch, make some splits, and you do your first run. Bam, you're speedrunning. You make friends with some runners, you do more runs, you get PBs as you progressively get better. It starts off just like any other hobby does. Everything is so new and exciting and fresh. But eventually, as you get better, PBing suddenly becomes harder and harder to do. Getting free time saves from big mistakes just doesn't happen as often, and you have to rely on doing tricks better and faster in order to improve your time. This is what I would describe as the first big challenge, or hump, for a new runner, and this is where mentality will come into play. You see, in general, when people are challenged in situations such as this, they're forced into making decisions. And it all comes down to a simple question, and every runner has to answer it. And it goes like this. You've learned the basic layout of the speedrun. You know all the tricks, the strats, the route, your basic foundation is set. But now that you've weeded out all of the quote-unquote free time save in the run, to improve, you have to do the tricks faster. Doing this trick or this jump second or third try just won't be good enough anymore. You have to start doing it first try. Suddenly, the luck-based event in the run has a much bigger impact on your time. Basically, to improve your time, you're going to have to get better. Better at the game, better at the tricks, have better consistency, etc. So, my friend, in order to get better, what are you going to do? If your answer to getting better involves resetting until you're ahead by X amount of time at X split, otherwise the run isn't good enough, then that's part of your mentality. If it involves grinding runs until you get good luck on this RNG element of the run, otherwise the run isn't good enough, then that's part of your mentality. If it involves getting sub X time for you to be satisfied as a runner, otherwise your run isn't good enough, then that's part of your mentality. I think now at this point you can see why I believe so heavily that having a good mentality is what separates the average runner from the truly great one. So many times have I seen runners set their mentality into these arbitrary goals, resetting constantly in order to get the perfect opening, grinding out runs in order to get this arbitrary time so they'll finally be satisfied, and then suddenly they find themselves incredibly stressed out and sad that they can't hit these goals. Suddenly, speedrunning isn't even a fun hobby anymore, it's just depressing. A good friend of mine, Midax, told me in Twitch chat one time that he's witnessed runners time and time again describing the feeling of achieving a certain goal after potentially months of failure as not joy, but relief. A relief that they no longer have to experience the grind of speedrunning. All of this points to people's mentality, to these arbitrary goals and expectations that they force on themselves. It's really unfortunate how a lot of the stress that runners go through is, in fact, self-inflicted. So, what can we do to fix this? How can you fix bad mentality? Well, remember what mentality is, a way of thinking. It's a belief system, almost like a religion. Changing someone's mentality, even your own, is maybe one of the hardest things a human being can do. But I believe the most important part to changing someone's mentality is the person in question has to be open to change and open to ideas other than their own. In addition to this, ask yourself some basic questions. Why do I speedrun? This one should be an easy one. For me, and most others, speedrunning is a hobby. It's an escape just to have fun. The next question after that is, am I still having fun speedrunning? This is an important one. If you're sick and tired and stressed out, you shouldn't try and fool yourself into thinking that you're still having fun. Be honest with yourself. And finally, what can I do to ensure that I'm still having fun while speedrunning? This might be the most important part, where the mentality change can actually happen. Maybe try changing the color of your splits. It is proven that simply looking at the color red can cause people to act aggressively, so maybe try changing your color for time loss to blue. One I would personally recommend myself is to do more no reset runs. What I had to do to change my mentality is think back to when I first ever did speedruns, because that's when I was having the most fun, and I noticed that I never reset ever. I slowly realized that resetting never actually made me feel better. It was just an easy way to detach myself from the feeling of getting angry over making a mistake. But after doing more no reset runs, I realized that forcing myself to not reset on a run-ending mistake allowed me to focus more on having fun, rather than PBing all the time. Another suggestion is just to not have splits at all, or to hide your splits. Sometimes just looking at your run and seeing the massive time loss can be depressing, so if you don't know how well your run is doing, you can just focus on doing your best. These are all just random suggestions, but the main idea is to find a way to have fun again with speedrunning. Some people find no resets to be boring, I understand that, but just try and find something that works for you to change in your routine that'll get you to focus more on having fun rather than your arbitrary goals. And make sure to stick with it. I hope this video helped you out. Again, I don't see many videos talking about this topic in speedrunning, and I find it to be the most important part to improving in speedrunning. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know, and I'll try and make more. And thank you for watching.